So the other day, I had one of my connections on LinkedIn ask me a really interesting question. He said, Ben, I was interviewing for a role, I accepted the offer, and I signed the offer letter. However, something in my life has changed, and I no longer wish to start that job. Am I legally obligated to do so because I signed the offer letter? That's a great question. I'm going to answer that today in today's episode of Ask a Recruiter. I'm also going to talk about a few of the other legal ramifications you might run into in an offer. And I also want to talk about it from a career perspective. Either way you make this decision, there will be an impact on your career. So let's talk about that too. Let's go. Hi everybody, I'm Ben White with Ben Talks Talent. I've got 12 years experience in interviewing, hiring, and recruiting. And I'm passionate about using my experience to help you become the best candidate possible and land your next job. In today's episode of Ask a Recruiter, we're going to be talking about the legal ramifications of signing an offer letter, as well as some of the career ones. But before we get into the main topic of this video, do me a favor if you are new here. Take 3 seconds, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that notification bell. That way you never miss one of my 3 free weekly videos that are all designed to help you become the best candidate possible. And if you are not new and you are back, what is going on? How are you doing? Buckle up, let's get into this thing. So why? Why would this happen? Why would someone get all the way to the end of the offer, accept an offer verbally, sign an offer letter, and then go, wait a minute, I no longer want to take this offer? Well, it could happen for a few reasons. Oftentimes, people are interviewing for multiple opportunities at the same time, and they just so happen to reach their conclusions at slightly different times. Or sometimes you go to give your notice, and your current employer goes, Ben, we cannot stand to lose you. You are such a massive contributor to this organization. What can we do to make you stay? We will do anything. And they give you an offer, a counter offer that in your opinion is so lucrative, you couldn't possibly walk away. Or maybe your spouse gets a job in a different state and it's just like too amazing of an opportunity to pass up and you have to go and you can't start the new job. So there are a few reasons why this could happen. Now let's talk legal, because this is the main topic of the video. You've signed that offer letter, you've committed. Do you have to start? And the answer is no. In the vast majority of cases, there is absolutely no legal obligation to start. In fact, I did a little bit of research and I couldn't find one in which you were legally obligated to start. You can say, I made a mistake, thank you, but no thanks, and walk away. Now, do some exist out there? Maybe, potentially. I couldn't find any. And in 12 years of recruiting and doing this every single day of my life, I have never seen one in which a person was legally obligated to start a job. So first and foremost, are you legally obligated to start a job? No, and it happens all the time. I had one happen 2 months ago where a client of mine, one of my recruiters, they had an offer, it was accepted, they signed the written offer, they started to do the start date information, they had a computer getting ready for them, and a couple days before the predicted start, the candidate said, my company just gave me an amazing counteroffer, I can't start. And nothing legally happened to that person, and we had to go back, and now we're working to find them an additional person. But first and foremost, no, you are under no legal obligation. Now, I do want to talk about a few things legally that could impact the candidate process. So there are 2 things that come to mind that are somewhat frequent. The first is NDA, or a non-disclosure agreement. So if you were to interview with a company and they have proprietary technology and they don't want you disclosing what you learned from the interview process, they might have you sign an NDA. And then you are in fact legally obligated to not share anything that you learned from that interview process. That is actually relatively common. I've had many clients request that candidates for higher level positions in the technology space sign those NDAs. That is common. And yes, there are legal ramifications if you break an NDA. The other issue you might run into from a legal perspective when you're interviewing is a non-compete. I have actually run into this. I was working for one company, I got recruited to go to another company, and in that new company, Ben, earlier in his career was, let's just say I didn't honor my non-compete entirely. And I did go after some of my previous clients and said, hey, I'm working at this new place, come over here now. That is frowned upon, and their lawyers called our lawyers, and that was an issue. So those are really the 2 areas in which, from a legal perspective, there might be ramifications in the job interview process. Now, I want to talk about career perspective, because I think a lot of people think, oh my gosh, am I legally obligated? But they don't think through how that might impact your career. So let's talk about that now. Now, first thing is, this is incredibly frowned upon. So I want you to think about it from the perspective of the company. They go through a long process. Let's just say it takes them 60 days. They interview a litany of candidates. There's tons of meetings along the way. You accept it. You're excited. They're excited. You sign it. They go, yes, we got it. Now they close down the position, right? And they're done. They talk to the second place candidate, the third place candidate, the fourth place candidate, and they say, thanks, but no thanks, thanks, but no thanks, thanks, but no thanks. They do all this, and then you go, never mind, I am not going to take this job. So a few things is going to happen. One, you're going to hurt people's feelings. You probably don't want to do that. But let's just say you don't care about hurting people's feelings. Shame on you. But also, what they're going to do is they're going to write in their applicant tracking system, or ATS, notes on you as a candidate. Yes, whenever you apply to a company, you are saved in their applicant tracking system. That is essentially a file on you now. And they put notes in there. Interviewed well. Interviewed terribly, was very rude, accepted an offer, signed a written offer letter, and then 3 days before decided to back out, never interview this person again. That's what it looks like. Now, you might find someone who goes, okay, I totally get it, Ben. I can't compete with that counteroffer, but if you're ever looking again, I'd still like to talk to you about a role within my team, within my organization. But I have to tell you, that person is few and far between. Most of the time, if you sign an offer letter, wait a little bit and back out, you just scorch the earth for that organization. You will never be able to work for that company again. Not only that, but let's just say there's a hiring manager, there's a recruiter, and there's an HR person involved. Assuming all those three people stay at this one company, you can never work for this one company again. But let's say the HR manager goes to another company local to you, and the hiring manager goes to another company, and the recruiter goes to a different company, and you still have notes in the original company that you turned down an offer after you had signed it. Okay, so you can't interview at that company anymore. They have that note in your system. Well, now you can't interview with the HR person if they're like the sole HR person in like a portion of the business that you would want to apply to, because they'll be like, I recognize this name. This person's word is trash. Maybe they're not in that certain phrasing, but you get what I'm saying. They'll remember what you did in all likelihood, because that's the type of thing that does not happen that often, and we remember it. And then the hiring manager at a different company goes, I remember Ben. Ben signed my offer. I was really excited. I was so pumped. I got him a gift basket for his first day, and then he decided to decline the offer. I don't want to move forward with this candidate. The point I'm trying to illustrate here, and I won't belabor it any further, is that when you do that, it's not just you can't work at that company in your career moving forward, but you might not be able to work at several other companies for people who are very close to the process. So you have to take that into consideration. Here's my last thing that I want to say in closing. It is far better to delay signing an offer letter if you have other things that are close to wrapping up. Because I got to tell you, from a recruiter's perspective, from a hiring manager's perspective, if you turn down my offer, I get it. It is your career. It is not my career. You have to do what you have to do. And I would still reach out to people who have turned me down. I actually have a person on my team right now who turned down my offer. A year later, we hired her. She's doing great. Saw that coming a year ago. It's happening now. I'm okay with that. But if you accept the offer and I stop my search, I disposition other candidates, and then you decide you're going to go back on your signing, go back on your word, then I'm really not interested moving forward. And I feel like that's a pretty natural response. So while you are not legally obligated to start a role just because you sign an offer, I would say it behooves you to think through the career ramifications of signing an offer and then going back on it. That's the video. Hope you found some value here. Good luck in your next interview. You got this.